until the recorder starts. And yes, it did start. Welcome back to After Hours. Once again, thanks to my guests, Tarishi Midnight Schuler, for stopping by. Please pay attention to his dates, where he will be performing and such. Great guy, great poet, great human being overall. Couldn't have asked for a better guest. And also, I mean, you couldn't have asked for him to have a better girlfriend, if that makes sense. Lanice Nunu Smith, shouts out to you. I will have the show that we did together posted up sometime in this fall season, okay? I'm not neglecting you, so just hang on to that. A couple of birthday shout-outs. This week we had birthdays from Rockin Daily from, of course, 102.9 DRCFM up there in the Hartford area, even though I think they're in Bloomfield, so whoa, Rockin' Ron, I think you're deceiving people there. That's not always a great sign. So no birthday celebration for you, my friend. Javier Baez, Elijah James, Natalie Carbajal, Louise Phillipot, and Taylor Leigh Cameron. Taylor, who called in a couple weeks ago saying, hey, I would like to hear some song by General Electric. And I was just kind of like, wait a minute, General Electric, you know, the company that sells lights and ovens and stuff? What are you, crazy, Taylor? Go buy a light and oven. You don't have to hear songs coming out of lights and ovens. My goodness. There's a freaking ambulance out there, Taylor. Just put yourself in an ambulance and get yourself checked for insanity. God, what's wrong with you? I hope you all had lovely birthdays, because if you did, then I'll be sad. I'll have a tear coming out of my eye at some point after the show, because I always love cake. Cake is my life. Cake makes up 95% of my existence. So if you have any leftover cake, great. I would love to eat some, and then I would literally leave your house. I would come in, I would say, hey, me, it's Jon Francois, someone you just don't really know and don't really talk to that much. Let me have some cake, and boom, out of there like Superman, as if I had some villain to beat down. Speaking of Superman, nice transition there, John. I saw this article on Entertainment Weekly about how the people who make the Superman comics today, and wow, it's shocking that comics are still made and sold today, because the golden age of comic books has got to be like way back in the 20s, 30s, 40s, around the time that Superman first came out and was hot. That was when comic books were hot in general. So the fact that they're still existent today is just like, wow, because people, I imagine, would say to themselves, you know what, if I want to see my superheroes live, in action, in person, really, you know, blowing my eyes away, I'll just freaking, you know, watch a television show or movie version of them. But as far as Superman is concerned, apparently Clark Kent is leaving the Daily Planet. The people behind the current Superman comics decided that, you know what, in this day and age, people don't really give a crap about newspapers anymore. Everybody is just up on the internet like white on rye. Is that the saying? I have no idea. Let me try another saying. Everybody is up on the internet like big on belly, like beer on nuts, like mustache on black man's face. Tried it. It obviously did not work. And my feeling about Clark leaving the Daily Planet after 70-something years of being associated with it is, what the hell? Like, don't mess up with tradition, Superman comic people. You know, the Daily Planet is probably the only beloved newspaper that I actually care about. I will admit that I really don't give two beeps about the current newspaper, the New York Times, USA Today. I can read the online versions of them if I want to catch up with news from those particular newspapers. As far as like actually getting my $4.95 subscription, however the hell it costs today, it's not a big thing for me, because it's just newspapers have never been a reliable source of news for me. In this internet age, I get my news from the internet. So then again, why the hell am I talking about the Daily Planet should stay when I just said that, oh, I don't care about newspapers? Am I contradicting myself? Yes, I am. Nothing can top that Tarishi interview, so I'm just frustrated, I guess. But I mean, look, the Daily Planet. It's the Daily Planet, okay? Clark and the Daily Planet, they just, I mean, that's part of his identity. That's part of, like, all right. I mean, I think that in this whole modern age where we have our internets and phones and whatever, I mean, we should have some semblance of the good old days. You know what I mean? Like, I may have a DVD player at home, but still, I like to, save up my Disney videotapes and my other videotapes because it just symbolizes a time where DVDs weren't existent, texting wasn't existent, Twitter wasn't existent, where you can just say, hey, friend, do you want to grab a bowl of chips and popcorn, rent a video from Blockbuster, and, freaking have a Friday night of excitement with that video from Blockbuster? Like, it just, you know what I mean? I mean, I look, all of these people, Rockin, Javier, Baez, I think all of you have been existent in the 20th century to know that, some of that stuff from the good old days, I mean, we should keep that because it just seems, like, it's innocence, it's purity. It was a time where responsibility, where puberty did not rule over. It was just, hey, videotapes, popcorn, Blockbuster. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of peeved that they're saying, oh, Clark is leaving the Daily Planet to start his own Huffington Post. Yeah, they said something about, oh, he's going to start his own blog. And I'm like, come on, Clark Kent, blog? No, I don't see him sitting at home, just kind of like, oh, let me see, what Lois Lane said on Twitter so I can get up on her butt. Yeah, I know. Rockin' Ron is just looking at this video like, dude, DRC is never going to call you at any point in your life. It just doesn't, overall, it doesn't mesh well with me. It does not, all right? Clark Kent was born in the early-ish 20th century. I think Superman came out in like 1939, and he should just stay in that time. I mean, before you know it, people are going to say, oh, Clark Kent is gay, Superman is gay. No offense to the gay people. I'm all for gay rights. Nothing wrong with that. But, like I said, monkeying around with tradition? No. Okay? Superman is in love with Lois Lane. Superman is disguised as Clark Kent working at the Daily Planet, mild mannered reporter. Just keep it as it is. It's worked for 70-something years. Why can't it still work in this day and age, okay? That's why people fell in love with Superman in the first place. These little basic aspects about himself. And if you just change it just to, appeal to mindless Twitterers, it's just, I mean, you're crushing the heart and soul of it all. So please don't do this. I'm begging you. Don't. God. Anywho, in other news, Apple, they came out with the new iPad mini, which is stupid because, speaking as someone who has an Apple product, really, if you have one Apple product, then you don't need the rest. You really don't. People can say, oh, yeah, the iPhone is better than the Mac, which is what I have. iPhone is better than the Mac because, it's basically a portable computer and phone. Like, you can have a phone, you can have internet access wherever you go, just in your pocket. It's that easy. And you know what I say to that? Pshaw. My parents spent $1,000+ on this thing, and even though it doesn't have phone, it surely has internet access. It surely can get me, typing with some papers that I have to do for school. It can get me to record videos for this show. A lot of great uses come from this Mac. So, will I give it up just for some little itty-bitty iPhone that I'll, just freaking damage with my fingers because I just can't stand touch phones because my touch is very rough. Okay? I'm not kidding. I'm not one of those like light touch people like beep, beep, beep. Like I'm not those people. I'd like to have a strong, tense touch. Like I'm, demanding the iPhone to go into its room. Like, you're grounded. I mean, that's just the man I am. I don't like any light touch whatsoever. All right? So for instance, if you try to handshake me, it's going to be a firm handshake. It's not going to be one of those light handshakes that most people give me where it seems like their hands are either paralyzed or they've been sitting on their hand for a while to the point where their hand fell asleep. It's not going to be like that, okay? It's going to be firm, strong, tense, because that is the kind of thing we need from me. Wow, I'm hungry. And I guess I'm a little bit drowsy, so expect this crap from me. Yeah, the iPad Mini, it's basically the iPad except smaller, and I think the iPad has all the same qualities as the iPhone. So if you have an iPhone, if you have an iPad, if you have the Mac, if you have either one of these three things, the iPhone, iPad, Mac, you don't need the iPad Mini. Apple is just trying to rip you off and gain itself more money. I think they're like the second richest company in the world at this point. Pretty shocking because Steve Jobs is dead, and you would think Apple would be gone. In fact, I saw some coverage on CNN of Apple revealing their iPad Mini, and some random fat guy was showing the iPad Mini in this big presentation room, the same big presentation room that Steve Jobs would use to reveal the new products. And I was just like, it's not the same. It really isn't the same. It's just some weird fat guy, presenting Apple. And I feel like they just got this guy out of freaking Subway while he was eating two sandwiches and saying, hey, would you like to present Apple products for a living? You'll get paid $2 an hour for it. And he just said yes, and here he is. When Steve Jobs did it, I mean, he did it with such simplicity and such down-to-earth friendliness that it's incomparable. So, bigs up to Steve Jobs. I love you, you lovable dead man. But yeah, I mean, look, Apple, I'll give you evidence of Apple, how they rip you off. I had to replace 2 or 3 chargers for God knows whatever reason. The charger just cannot hold well for me. And I think one of the chargers I bought was from the Apple Store, and it cost me like $100. Yeah, nearly $100 for a freaking plug. And I compared that with another charger that I got from eBay, and that charger was like $20, like honestly. And I was like, wow, like that's a freaking $80 difference if I got the math correct. What the hell, Apple? What the hell? They, make their products seem godlier than thou. Like it's just freaking omnipresent. Like it's holier than thou. I mean, that's what Apple wants you to think of them. But really, it's just, hey, I'm spending too much money on something that's really not that big of a deal. So that's just my opinion. Anything else? Not really. So, what have we learned tonight at 12:36 in the morning on a Thursday? Apple revealed the iPad Mini, which you don't have to buy if you already have an iPad or an iPhone or a Mac. Clark Kent is leaving the Daily Planet to start a blog to catch up with all these internet folks today, even though I'm one of them. Don't mess with tradition. It's not necessary. Just keep Clark where he is. And yeah, third presidential debate was boring as hell with the frickin' foreign policy. So if you want to spat off on any of this, 860-456-2164. Once again, that's 860-456-2164. Okay? Okay. All right. I mean, I think I've covered all I've needed to cover tonight. I still have technically 20 minutes left, but I'm not going to stick around that long if I don't need to. I know Quincy had a request, so Quincy, I'll get to that request right now. It's what? He said Robin Thicke, Lost Without You. I think it's Robin Thicke, Lost Without You. Look, we'll just play that. And if that's not it, Quincy, then you can get a life. Really. Because I know you called in as Snake. Who else would have the snake that you have? God, I've been talking for too long. I think the video recorder thing says 14 minutes, so I have to go and break for song. So I'll tell you what, we're gonna break for song and then we'll come back and wrap it up because I'm hungry, kind of tired. Had a freaking 40-minute interview with Tarishi. I'm about ready to peace. Alright, so this better be it, Quincy, because I'm not doing seconds with Robin Thicke. He's not that worth it. And someone's calling, so it may be Quincy. Who knows? Alright, everybody. After Hours, 90.1. Stay tuned.